All right, everybody. Welcome to the Collateral Damage podcast with myself, Mike Wilson, and Maureen Cavanagh. In this podcast, we intend to talk about a lot of the things that are happening around addicts and alcoholics. But prior to getting to all that, I just want to take a minute to get to know each other. So, Maureen, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, my name is Maureen Cavanagh. I am the founder of Magnolia New Beginnings. Magnolia is a peer support group that serves about 20,000 people across the country. It's online through Facebook. We also, our financial mission in Massachusetts is also to raise money for sober living. So we do that as well. I've been an advocate for probably about the last 10 years for this particular purpose, but I also wrote a book called If You Love Me, A Mother's Journey Through Her Daughter's Opioid Addiction.
It must have been an interesting book to write.
It was a very interesting book.
Yeah,
A book
going
I
back
never
and
wanted
reliving
to
everything,
write.
right?
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
I wrote it with the hopes that it would help people. It would make people feel less alone. It would help people reach out to each other and it also that I really hope that people would read it that didn't have any experience with substance use disorder, and they would maybe gain a little insight into what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay. Now you were already involved in the field, in the industry prior to writing your book, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to see all different sides of it.
I got to see, I think, just about every side of
Right.
this. Yeah.
So more so than just the impact on a mother. I mean, it's a mother's journey, but I mean, you definitely got to experience the impact on the communities,
Right.
on the programs, the families, first responders, and everything, right?
Right, because every family's different, but we're all very much alike as well. And I think that goes to that's the same thing for the people that are affected.
Right.
I mean, they all have different stories, but there's a common thread there with everyone. So.
Of course. Yeah. Man. Well, thank you.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about you, Mr. Wilson?
I'd be happy to tell you a little bit about myself. Thank you for asking. So my name is Mike Wilson. I'm the co-founder, co-owner, and director of family services for Baystate Recovery Services. I am also a person in recovery, and I've been sober for roughly 9 years now. Just celebrated my soberversary back in February 23rd.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I also authored a book called Loving Lions, a guide for families struggling with addiction, which, from my perspective as a person in recovery and as somebody who works in the field, again, in a very similar way, I was writing, hopefully trying to educate the people that maybe either aren't aware they're experiencing it or don't know how to respond to it or react to it. So, in that same sense, trying to get people who really don't know how to deal with what's happening to at least walk away a little more educated, maybe understanding the other side of it, why it's happening. Their loved ones aren't doing it to them. It's not, intentional. It's just it's happening to everybody.
Right.
And what they can do about it. So aside from that, been very active in the community ever since I got into recovery, and I just love this field. So that's why I'm here.
That's great.
Excellent.
That's great. So why don't we, I think the name Collateral Damage is perfect for this particular podcast and for this particular subject.
Right.
Because it seems like no one escapes the havoc that this wreaks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's gotten to the point that they're talking about it on television now. They're talking
Right.
about every community in the United States, the current political climate. Everybody's discussing the best way to deal with this thing. I mean, it has touched everybody, even if you don't know it.
Right.
Right?
Because even if you think you're not affected,
Right.
you're affected, because this is going to affect people financially, and it's going to change the landscape of employment and
Sure.
education and everything for many, many years ahead. So,
Well, I mean, in all honesty, if you pay taxes, if you have health insurance, if you lead what you would consider to be normal life, then you're feeling the effects of it in the cost of your insurance and the taxes that you pay and the services available, the toll it takes on first responders in your community. It touches everybody. So
no one escapes.
yeah, I'm interested
Absolutely.
to hear some of the conversations we're going to have about this particular topic.
Me too. So families and the relationships and how they change and the impact of addiction is an easy one. But what else are you thinking about?
Well, I mean, as I was saying before, everything from schools, police departments, political leaders, people in the communities,
Absolutely.
and how they perceive the problem. I think that probably just in the last couple of years, since everybody's been talking about it more, people have taken the time to read up on it, to learn a little bit more, instead of just seeing it as, a moral failing. The Attorney General writing up a different version of it so that people can see it, and or the Surgeon General.
Surgeon General,
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, the Attorney General. I'm sure his opinion is very different, but the Surgeon General, writing up a new statement about what addiction is and how it should be seen, and even highlighting some family issues of their own. I think has helped people see this differently. So
Yeah,
again,
I agree.
Everybody.
I mean, because Magnolia spans not only this whole country, but we have members in Canada, we have members in Ireland, we have members all over the place. I hear of lots of different programs and approaches and
Right.
just like thoughts around substance use disorder that I would love for other people to hear too. They may not have the ability to, may not know where to go to tune into somebody like that. It's
Right.
something that's happening in Portugal or it's something that's happening in Italy, and I'd love to share in all those like just different kinds of ways of thinking and approaching this issue.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hard to say that what we're doing is actually the right way to do it. I know that we're all just kind of feeling around in the dark here, trying to
Absolutely.
figure out the best response
Yeah.
to this. And there's a lot of warring factions. There's a lot of people discussing and debating what they think the best approach is. And all I know is that everybody cares. I guess it's just about what.
Yeah. And sometimes you bring enough people together to think about this and talk about it,
Yeah.
you actually do come up with solutions too.
Well, maybe that's one of the things that we can highlight.
That would be great.
A solution. Could you imagine if there was a healthy conversation and a debate where we figured out the best way to approach something systemically within our nation?
I'm glad you said debate, because I think there's going to be a few of those too.
I would be shocked if there's not. Kind of looking forward to it, and that's what makes these fun. So
Yeah, so we should have some interviews. I think we'll have people on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping for, lawmakers, advocates.
yeah, again, everybody has a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should be heard. I'd be curious to hear, again, in a healthy format, all different sides, giving them the opportunity to share their perspective, which, we should all be open to, is everyone's perspective about
Right.
how this is impacting, everyone in the community. If all I'm seeing is the families in my office, obviously I'm seeing the damage that's happening at home. How it's affecting mom and dad and keeping them from going to work, and they're not focusing.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe dad or mom has a job that's pretty significant that they should be focusing for.
Yeah.
You never really think about what's happening when these folks are at work and they're completely distracted, and they might be doing something that you need them to do effectively.
Right.
Again, the wide-reaching impact.
Absolutely.
And
I've been there.
I want to hear all those voices. I mean to scare anyone there. I'm sure everybody's fine. Bus driver's safe. Don't worry about it.
Don't give it another thought.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a book club too. We were talking
Oh, yeah.
about,
Okay.
bringing in
Just
some
our
authors.
books? Just our
well,
books?
most importantly, our
Yeah.
books.
Okay.
But then, also we might want to add some people like, that have published books on this subject.
Well, if we're on the topic of education and making sure that people have all the information they need, I think it would be fantastic for us to put, maybe once a month talk about a book, highlight a book.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe give our feedback and encourage people to read it and give their feedback as well.
Yeah, I know on Magnolia we keep a running list of books
do?
that
Okay,
people
nice.
would be interested in reading. But
Is that a Facebook page, the Magnolia?
Magnolia is a Facebook page.
Okay.
Well, our website is magnolianewbeginnings.org, but
Okay.
on that you can find support groups all over the country.
Okay, so it's a
And
community.
It is.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all peer support too.
Okay.
We don't allow anybody that could possibly be charging or making money on
Right.
anybody in there, unless there's some people in there that just
And
want
you
to
got to
help.
stay vigilant because they're out there
Oh,
trying to
I
find
know.
creative ways to get into your
Yeah.
Facebook group
Yeah.
or providing bad advice and direction.
Right.
Ugh.
So we're careful about that. We have 21 admins that monitor the pages.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Some
that
very
sounds like a
dedicated
safe
people.
place to go in and share.
Yeah, it's like when somebody goes through something like this, very often and this is what happened to me. I learned all of these things about what to do and how to do it, and none of those things I helped my daughter with because she
Right.
wanted no part of me. But I gathered all this information because the only way I felt like I had any control was to research. I researched and researched, and then what was I going to do with all of this?
Right.
So I mean, and somebody else's child is always happy to listen to me,
Right.
but not my own.
Yeah, my kids won't listen to me as well as some of these other kids do.
So.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
And then,
Well,
and then hopefully we can finish up each week with a a question from the audience, from somebody out there that's,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
maybe
the
something we
questions that
hadn't
come
thought of.
in are, I mean, it's, again, talking about perspective. Like, we have our perspective,
Right.
if, the way that we're involved in this field, in this industry, it's always, from this side of things, and a lot of times parents and family members and other people experiencing the collateral damage of addiction.
Yep.
We don't even understand it. We don't see it from that perspective until they bring those questions in. So I'd love to hear about questions, possibly even topics that we can bring speakers in regards to, and hear from them.
Absolutely, yeah, because it will help other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if they don't have the question, they may not know they want to know the answer to the question.
Right.
So, I mean, that's really how Magnolia works, is by people venting and asking questions and answering each other. So I'd like that to be something that we do too.
Fantastic.
So those-
All right. Well, this is what we're going to do, everybody. So,
We'll hope you join
again,
us.
yeah, we definitely hope you join us. Please listen. We're going to post more information about the times. We do intend to do a Facebook Live at some point to try to get some information from our viewers and our listeners. We are going to try to post as many of these as we can, as often as we can. So stay tuned. And I guess until we actually have our first guest speaker in, or we pick our first topic, thank you for listening.
We'll let you know.
Gotta know how to stop this thing.